Bine v-am găsit! Sunt Florentin Gheorghe, realizatorul emisiunii de Vorbă cu Profu De Română, o emisiune în care am abordat teme despre educație, despre cultură, cu diversi invitați din diverse domenii. Iar astăzi am o surpriză pentru dumneavoastră. Am un invitat tare special pe care l-am cunoscut în cadrul unui proiect Erasmus la Sinaia, care a avut loc la Sinaia, unde am fost câte 4 participanți din 4 țări, din România, din Spania, din Brazilia și din Honduras. Iar unul dintre participanți din echipa Hondurei este în această seară alături de noi. Se numește Rebeca Vega, este psiholog și vom avea o discuție tare interesantă despre educație și despre anumite strategii pe care le putem aplica deopotrivă profesorii și părinții în lucrul sau în dialogul cu copiii, respectiv cu elevii. Hello, Becky. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm very fine, and I'm very excited that you are here in my TV show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor for us, and I was telling to the people that I met you in that Erasmus project, and you're a very nice person, and you're amazing, and you have some great ideas, and we are happy that you are here to share them with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I have a first question for you. Why and how are children different nowadays in comparison, let's say, with a previous generation?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess first and foremost, thank you for the invitation and having me here. It really is an honor and a privilege. It was not something I was expecting. But yes, so talking about children and how different they are from different generations. Definitely there's a lot of changes that happen with generations. There are different needs, there are different strategies that parents use to do some parenting, right? To discipline their children, or how they connect with their children, or yeah, just different things that happen. And also times change. There's needs that have to be met, whether that is for the family or whether that is for the children or for the adults. So definitely children have changed from 1 or 2 generations ago. I think there was a much different expectation for parents to know or to have certain things. Also, quality of life was very different several generations ago. And I think there was also access to certain things. So definitely access to technology, right, has definitely changed things. And now, as we see, children have different needs as well. I think in the past, they used to connect a lot more with their families. There was less electricity, or there was only electricity for a certain amount of time. And so children and parents had to talk to each other. Parents would tell stories in the dark, or the power would go off, you know, and it's just changed throughout. Now we have more technology. Children use it for school. Children use it for social media to connect with their peers. But there's still that need for connection. But if they are on a screen all the time, or most of the time, then their relationships are different, right? They are at that level, and sometimes that can be very superficial. But then that also means that they spend time away from their families, or they don't communicate or share as many stories anymore. So definitely the children, or the generations, and the needs have changed throughout time. I think because of all those different factors as well. Parents also have more needs to provide for the family, so definitely cost of life has gone up. So parents are not at home as much anymore, or both parents are now working, and therefore children don't have that person to come to after school sometimes. It's not their fault, parents' fault by any means, but it's just the change that has happened that makes those times different from 2 generations ago, 1 generation ago, to now.
But you know, is that at least in Romania we have this saying that this generation is worse than the previous ones. Is this true, or is just, you know, we are like, I don't know, every generation said that about the previous generation?
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. People definitely have their opinions, right? And so I think one of the things that I keep going back to as a psychologist is the need for connection. Children need to connect two generations. Children need to learn from the past, but how are they going to do that if they don't connect, if they don't talk, if they don't have that relationship with the previous generations, if they don't have a relationship with their parents, if they don't have a relationship with their grandparents, for example. So if we are going to compare, then sure, anyone can say, well, this generation is better or that generation is worse. But I think that we need to sit and think, what is the core need for children now? And focus on that to find solutions, to create strategies, whether that is in the home or whether that is at school or whether that is in other environments such as a youth group or, for example, something similar to what Erasmus Plus is doing, right? Trying to connect youth, trying to connect young people with different strategies, whether they be teaching strategies, learning strategies. But we can do that at a family level or at a school level and focusing on that instead of comparing 20 years ago to now, 30 years ago to now, 40 years ago to now. Because the needs were different. The access was different for people in general. The time has changed. Work or jobs didn't ask people to come in at 8 in the morning and leave at 5 in the afternoon. I don't know if that is how it works in Romania, but that's how it works in my country. People go to work at 8 in the morning. So they leave their home at 7 and they leave their work at 5 and they come back at 6. So that's very little time, right, with the family. But it wasn't that way 40 years ago.
Can you, I don't know, give us an example of a strategy that parents or teachers can use to connect with nowadays kids?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's hard. I have to commend teachers and parents because it is hard. None of us have all the answers. No one really does. But yeah, absolutely. A strategy, I guess, would be connect. Find moments. Find little moments throughout the day to connect with your children. So for parents, that starts in the morning. Hey, good morning. How you wake up your children to go to school. Don't just say, well, set up an alarm and let the alarm wake you up, right? Come into the room. Say good morning to your kids in a very loving voice, in a very loving way, very gentle. Come in and say, hey, good morning. It's time for you to go to school. You're going to go out and do great things today, and believe in them. How did you sleep? Just a very simple question can help you connect.
That means a lot.
It means so much to the kids, right? To young kids and even teenagers, even when they don't want to respond. They definitely have a need for connection. And even if they don't tell you, and I'm talking to the parents, right? Even if they don't tell you, they will appreciate you saying, how did you sleep? How was your sleep? I'm so sorry that you didn't get good sleep today, but I know that you're going to do great things in school today. I know that you have amazing teachers that are going to help you. So I know and I hope you have a great day, right? So I think those little things, and then for teachers, which also have such a great role in life, is, again, doing little things that become a routine in your classroom. So for example, every time your students come in the class, give them a high five, right? Or give them a different handshake. Each child can choose whether they want a specific handshake with their teacher. Or every Monday, take 5 minutes out of your class, which isn't a lot of time, but take 5 minutes out of your class and say, hey guys, let's stop. Let's breathe. And let's be thankful for something. Let's be thankful that we have school today. Let's be thankful that we have toys. Let's be thankful that we have Wi-Fi, whatever the kids want to say thank you for. And you can say different little things to say thank you. And all of a sudden that is going to start to become a habit, but more than that, it's going to connect teachers to their students.
Wow, that's very, at the first sight, it's like simple things, but that can make differences.
Absolutely.
Talking about teachers, what qualities should, let's say, an engaged teacher have?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. I have to commend teachers. They do such a great job. They really do. And I think as teachers, you guys have such a massive responsibility, but it is a beautiful one, really. Okay, so what do you need? First of all, of course, you need to love your job. Of course, you need to love and care for children's lives, whether you're working with little ones, whether you're working with older ones in high school maybe. It's caring for them more than caring for the curriculum. I think as teachers, there's a lot of pressure in every country to finish a curriculum, right? Because you have to within a week, within 2 weeks, within a month. You have to cover certain topics or certain subjects. And of course, you know, that's what you have to do. But more than that, and going beyond that, is caring for the students in their lives, how they really are. Learn to read your students. Learn to read them. Learn about personality. Maybe take some psychology courses. Take some behavior courses, whether they're free or in university, but prepare yourself for that. Read your students and take a look at how they are behaving, because any change in behavior has a root. Any change in behavior is going to have a cause. And as a teacher, you can have a great impact in understanding this is a change in behavior. I need to take 2 minutes at the end of my class to ask that student how they are. Hey, or even if they don't want to talk about it, saying, hey, I know something's going on and I'm here for you, man, or I'm here for you, as, you know, to girls, and say, I'm here for you, I'm here to help you. If you ever want to talk about something, you're welcome to come to me, or I can help you find someone to talk to. They appreciate that. They're not going to say it most of the time, but they will appreciate it because they are going to feel seen. So as a teacher, I would say care for your students, number one. Prepare yourself, as in study behavior. And number 3 is to connect with them in that sense of being there for them, making yourself available, taking notice of what really matters in children's lives.
Yeah, it happens that there are a lot of, you know, teachers that are very clever, let's say, in their topic or what they teach, but they cannot connect with students. And education stops there, you know. I mean, you cannot do education. I mean, kids don't like you. If they don't like you, they don't respond to your asking questions or everything you need for them.
Absolutely.
You were talking about curricula. I'm teaching Romanian language, and after 8th grade, they have an exam, and it's a very big pressure for me to finish or to cover it all. Yeah, but I try, as you said, at the beginning of every class to have a small discussion with them. Hey, are you okay? Everything is okay? And after that, I go to, okay, today we're talking about, I don't know, noun or adjective.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to do that.
Absolutely. That's fabulous. I think, you know, kids want to be seen. They want to feel heard. That's their biggest need, whether they are 1-year-old, 2 years old, 5 years old, 12, 15, 18, right? They want to be heard. They want to be seen. So I think if we can do that at the end of beginning of every class, at the end of every class, beginning of the week, right? Whatever you choose, whatever strategy you choose, to choose it well, to remain consistent, and to keep that as your focus. Of course, curriculum is important, but children are always going to care more about being seen and being heard rather than what they learned from a book.
Things that they can, I don't know, forget, or they can Google it, you know?
Right.
Information is very easy to find nowadays. It's not like the teacher is the only one that can give you that information. So we have to be more than just, you know, saying a poetry with that lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beside knowledge, teachers should teach children also some values. What values can a teacher, can a teacher teach children in school? What values?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think number one, would be you are important. A teacher can come to a student or the entire class and make them feel seen, make them feel heard, because they're human, right? There's nothing worse as a psychologist for me to hear a student, to ask them how they're doing, and for them to say, you know what, I'm doing just fine. And you're like, why? How come you're doing just fine? Well, no one cares. My mom and my dad don't ask me how I'm doing. My grandparents don't care. They don't ask me how I'm doing. My teachers don't ask me how I'm doing. So I don't even exist. I shouldn't even exist. And that is scary, right? Mm-hmm. That's horrible. So I think as teachers and as parents, the first thing that we need to do is make them feel seen, make them feel heard.
But how
make
can I
them
do
be
that?
important.
Only through conversation?
Not just through conversation. So there's different things. Like I said, small little routines that you can add to the day, how they're doing. The tone in your voice, looking into their eyes is super, super important. When you look at someone in the eyes, then, you matter, that you're feeling heard. Mm-hmm. You're like, wow, they're really interested in what I'm saying. But if I ask you, hey, Florentine, how are you doing, I guess, and I just keep, doing whatever I need to do over here, and I never make eye contact, am I even listening? Right? Repeating what they have said. So, for example, I gave the example of, hey, how was school today, right? And then if the child says, it was horrible because we had math tests and I didn't study and I didn't prepare. So instead of saying like, well, okay, it's, whatever. So instead of saying that, it's, or instead of saying, see, it was your fault because you didn't study or I told you. So instead of doing that, you can come to the child and say, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. Yeah, it does feel horrible, doesn't it? How do you feel about it? Or, hey, do you think there's anything I can help you with for next time? So all of a sudden they feel heard. But you also repeat, oh, I hear that you had a really bad day because, this happened, because your math test went really bad. I'm so sorry that happened. Maybe next time I could help you. So all of a sudden they feel heard and they feel important and they feel seen. Other values we can teach them. So for us as adults is to remain consistent. Consistency is very important. So for example, if we say we are going to do something, follow through. There's never something worse for a teenager. For us to say something, hey, I'm going to bring you candies tomorrow, guys. And then the next day, you don't bring candy. So that's a very small thing. But even saying to them, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here for you whenever you need me. And when they come to you, all of a sudden you're like, no, I don't have time for you. So follow through. If you're going to say something, then mean it, right? That also teaches a different value, which is honesty. Being honest is so important. I think a lot of parents always talk about their teenagers to psychologists, to teachers, and saying, but they lie to me all the time, and they deceive me, or they told me this, but now they do this. So sometimes I think as adults, we don't really understand that we're doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. We are telling them one thing, but doing something very different. And they say it all the time. Teenagers are like, well, why should I listen to you? You always say this, but you do this, or you never do it. So to listen to them, because they're telling us what we're doing wrong. It's hard to hear as adults, but that is the truth, right?
It's one of the best feedbacks you can get.
Absolutely, their point of view. So definitely looking at values like that. Honesty, right? Being seen and heard, being important, and telling someone else that you're important, not just with your words, but with your actions. And I think the third one, and one of the most important to me, is respect. The thing is, the value of respect is a process. The value of respect starts with connection. You have to connect with your kids. The second thing is you have to trust. When you connect, then you trust. And when they trust, then they respect.
And
so
I want
it's
you
a
to
little
keep the
bit
idea because we have to take a break now.
Sure.
And continue after that.
Sounds good.
Ok, vom continua imediat după un scurt moment de publicitate despre aceste subiecte tare interesante alături de invitata noastră. Revenim! Am revenit, suntem alături de invitata noastră de astăzi, Rebeca Vega, psiholog din Honduras, din America Centrală, și discutam cu ea despre strategii privind o educație de calitate și rămăseserăm înainte de pauza de publicitate la capitolul respect, ce înseamnă în viziunea unui psiholog, iată, respectul, pentru că noi de multe ori cerem respect de la copii, dar poate de multe ori nu știm ce înseamnă sau îl tratăm superficial, nu înțelegem exact ce înseamnă termenul respect. So Becky, we were talking before the break about respect, and you started to say something that there are like three different I don't know, steps. Yeah. So please.
Absolutely, yeah. In order to gain respect, right, with children or teens, even with other adults, in order to really, truly achieve respect, to teach it or to have it, we need 3 steps. So the very first one is to connect. To connect with the other person is very important. It's very hard for us to do anything with a person, even having a conversation, if we cannot connect. Usually, if we can't make eye contact, if we can't hold a conversation or share or differ on the same topic, it's going to be very hard for us to continue the conversation. We are usually going to have a very short conversation. Yes, no, finished. So connecting and having that connection. And from there, the more we connect, the more we build trust. So all of a sudden, I start to trust the other person. A child, for example. The more I see a child, the more I play with a child, the more I do things with a child. So even for parents, the more they do, the more the child trusts them. And then we achieve respect. Once a child trusts or a teenager trusts, then they respect because they know that they can rely on that person. And so therefore, respect is not just a thing we can demand. So think of teachers, for example. When you walk into a room and you say, "Hello guys, my name is Florentine," or "My name is Rebecca, and I'm here to be your teacher for the rest of the year, and now you have to respect me." And that's going to be a pretty hard ask, especially in high school, because they're not going to respect you at all. They don't know you.
And also respect is something very abstract for them. You know, it's not something very concrete to...
Absolutely. So what you have to do is connect with them. Look at them in the eye. Ask them about different things, what they like to do. And then also do things and activities with them that they would enjoy. So whether that is teaching languages or whether that is teaching like a physical education class, you're going to do things to connect with them and things that they like and that they enjoy. And that you enjoy as well. And you are going to enjoy that time with them. And then after that, as time goes on, they're going to learn that they can trust you. They can come to you, you keep your word, you are consistent in what you say, you are honest with them at every point in time. And so they know that they are able to trust you. They're going to start seeing and testing and looking for things to say, can I trust my teacher, whoever that is? And then they're going to respect you. You can gain that trust and that respect within 2 weeks, within a week. And obviously by the end of the year, you're going to have quite a lot of it. But it goes both ways, right? So it's the same with your students, even as adults, right? You connect with your students when your students are also doing what they say they're going to do, like their homework or their studies, or they're going to bring something for a presentation. You start to trust them, right? And then, of course, they gain your respect because you say, wow, I can rely on this student. This is a very good student. Or, well, it's harder for me to rely on this student, but there's things that I know I can trust my student with. So it goes both ways, but it is a process. It's not just something I come in and I demand when it comes to respect.
What are the areas of respect?
Yeah, great. So I love this, and I guess I'll tell it to you as a story. So I am a psychologist, but one thing that maybe I shared with you earlier is that I was teaching as well. So I was teaching from grade 1, so 6-year-olds, all the way up to 12th grade, 11th grade, so 17, 18-year-olds. And I did that for several years. And I taught science to them. Yeah. And so I came in the very first time, the very first week of school, we started doing activities, and then we also started talking about our classroom rules. So in the classroom, I asked my students what rules they wanted first, and that helped me connect with them. That helped me know what it is that they want out of the year, right? What it is that they want out of each other, and what they want out of me as a teacher. So it was very insightful. It gave me a lot of information. And then I said, okay, I love this. So I want to share something with you guys. And they were like, what? So I said, well, I want to share with you that I only have one rule. And they were just like, oh, no way. And I said, yes, I only have one rule. And they were like, what is it? And I said, well, in my classroom or when I'm here, we are going to respect each other. They're like, oh, yeah, we should, it's something like new. And so I said, okay, so let's talk about 3 aspects of respect, which is your question. Mm-hmm. So the first aspect is we should respect ourselves. And so I started asking my students, what do you think that means, right? What do you think that means? So they gave ideas. Well, respecting myself is having clean clothes and washing my hair and, showering and brushing my teeth and eating well. Of course, that is respect towards yourself. You have to do that. You have to take care of yourself. So obviously it's very encouraging and saying yes. And why did I start with themselves? Because it's a whole lot easier for me to care about me because, I need to take care of myself than to care about others first. So then we move on to the second part of respect. The second part of respect is we need to respect each other. So I talked to them about what does it mean to respect each other in this classroom, and they came up with the ideas. So I'm connecting with them as I'm doing this. I'm building trust. And so when they said something, I heard it. I usually repeated it, and I wrote it down on the board. That showed them Becky, or Miss Becky as I was called, she listens to me. She listens to what I'm saying.
And they are important.
So all of a sudden, I'm building on honesty. I'm building on importance. I'm building on their value as people,
and
right?
You move the focus from the teacher
Absolutely. To this, we're there for students. We're not there to be teachers for other teachers. Mm-hmm. We are there to teach students. They are at the core of education. So I asked them, how do you care for each other? So they started, or respect each other, and so they started giving ideas, right, as to how they cared for each other. So don't take someone's pencil without permission. Don't rip the books. Always keep our classroom organized. Those are things they do for each other. I don't do it for them. They can do it. And they take ownership of that, right? It's their classroom. It's not the teacher's classroom. It's their classroom. And they love that. They love taking that responsibility. And the third step or aspect of respect is respecting our environment. Everything that is around us. So what is my environment, or what that was for our students? So of course it was their classroom, their books, the entire school. So even let's pick up the trash, let's have other kids care for playing, for example. So the playground is important. Everybody can enjoy the playground, the soccer field. I don't know if you have these here, but I know in my country we do. And so obviously kids are not going to cut down trees in school, right? But they can take care of the equipment, their physical education equipment, their books, the library, all these things. And so all of a sudden, they understand that respect is not about doing what the teacher says. It's not really about just following rules, but it is about caring for themselves, caring for others, and caring for their environment. And they start to see that when they do this, there's positive effects in their life. And so all of a sudden, respect is not so ambiguous. It's not so abstract, but it's real. And it's little things that they do that show respect to themselves and to everything around them, even other people.
One of the biggest problems teachers face in their relationship with their students is the lack of, how can I say, motivation. Yeah, it's the lack of motivation. What can teachers do to motivate students at school? I mean, is there something we can do, or motivation is something they just have it inside?
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely. There's external aspects of motivation and internal aspects for motivation. So first and foremost, I would say let's follow the steps of respect, right? So let's go to motivation. So first and foremost, as a teacher, I need to motivate myself. What is my motivation? Why am I teaching? Why am I coming to school every day? So I need to motivate myself. Right? I need to enjoy what I'm doing. There's always going to be days that I don't enjoy, right? But we need to make all the other days count more than the days that don't or aren't so enjoyable or that don't seem to be the nicest days. We need to know our purpose. What is my purpose as a teacher? To be here teaching. Is it the books? Is it the curriculum? Is it the money? Is it the government, or is it my students? Wow. When we start looking at our students as lives, as people, as our future for our countries, it takes on a whole new meaning. My student is not a chair. My student is not a desk.
Or
my student or an object. My student is a person. If they are 6 years old, because they're in first grade, then they're a tiny person. But they are a person. They have ideas, they have feelings. They're this beautiful little world. There's this beautiful little brain in there that is ready to take things in, and also little mouths and little energies that bring beautiful things out. So when we look at it like that, then I find that that is the biggest motivation. And as a teacher, you have to be honest with yourself. You know what, I'm here for the money for 2 more years. And you know what, that's fine. That's fine. But maybe let's talk about that motivation and how you can motivate yourself. Because when you motivate yourself, and if you come into your classroom with those kinds of attitudes, your students are going to notice. They're going to know, oh, you know what, Florentin is here for us. He cares about us. He cares about life, not just a book, not just whether I memorize or know certain parts of the book. And the cool thing is, that's the second part. We motivate our students with our attitude. So this is a really cool fact, and that is that for communication, we have verbal, nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is 93% of how we communicate to people. So I communicate nonverbally to people. My actions, my face, what my face looks like. Am I smiling? Am I angry? Right? My body language, everything about my body language. If I'm like this every morning, or if I'm like, hey guys, that makes a difference. My tone of voice, the volume of my voice. I think if all of a sudden I lower my voice like this, and I start to slow down what I'm saying, things sound very serious. But if I'm a little bit, have a different intonation, and I'm more motivated and excited, all of a sudden things seem more fun. So all of my nonverbal communication means a whole lot more. That's 93% of communication. And my words and the books are only 7%. So definitely I think we need to take a very different approach to education than what we have been doing before. But that's how we motivate our students, with first motivating ourselves, then motivating our students, and then changing the environment around us. What can you do as a teacher to change the environment in your classroom? What can you do? What activities can you find in your books that you can change just a little bit and that it's allowed to make it more fun, to make it more relevant, right? Maybe instead of reading something 2 or 3 times, maybe we play a game with the words. Or maybe we write it and they have to treasure hunt. So yes, it takes a little bit more work as a teacher, but if I'm motivated, then my students are going to be motivated and our environment is going to be motivated. Therefore, if I'm motivated and I pass it on to my students with my nonverbal communication mostly and the little bit of my words, then we will be able to change our environment in our classroom, and all of a sudden I want to be in the classroom with my students. I don't feel like I'm going back to the classroom and be like, oh, I'm going to go see these kids again. No, I'm here for you. I love coming to class with you. And then our students are going to have the same attitude. They're going to say, I want to go to class with Florentine. I love being in that class. We do things differently. Maybe not every day, maybe not every week, but you keep it interesting by motivating them in that way.
And most of the time, kids or students don't remember theory you teach them. It's like they remember how they feel during that class.
Yes.
You know, in Romania, in order to become a teacher, you have to pass an exam. We call it titularizare. I don't know, something that with a lot of questions about your topic and everything. But one of the questions I'll put in that exam would be that one you said, why am I teaching? Why am I there? Because I can know a lot of things, you know, like theoretical things, but what and why do I do that? So if I answered correct to that question, probably my educational act is going to be a success. Okay, I want to go to another question that I prepared for you. What methods can we use in daily classroom life? Like very practical methods a teacher can use in order to connect with their students or to make children enjoy school.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in the beginning, right, I think I said maybe high-fiving your students or having a handshake. So that's just one idea. It could work in your class and it could not work in your class. And I think that's something we have to really take into account when it comes to different methods when we look for them. We can try them out. And we need to try them out maybe 3, 4, 5, or 6 times, and they may work or they may not work, and that's okay. We find something else. So definitely checking in with your students, doing a check-in. So I remember I had a literary class with my high school students, and obviously they had to write. Now, it said they had to write an essay, they had to write a poem, they had to write an article, right? All these things. So one of the things that we did is we had a notebook. And I said, awesome. Well, you're going to write an essay about what is your motivation in life. Or I would ask them, you have to write an article about the one topic that you find the most important. And it can be anything. And I had a student raise their hand and say, can I talk about video games? I said, absolutely, I would love to learn about video games. So doing things that you can in your classroom, but shifting it towards the student. So for example, in a literary class, they have to write an essay. They have to write a poem or a story. But maybe we can change the subject to something that they like. Therefore, it will help us connect with them. I also would tell them, hey, I want to check in with you. I want to have different check-ins. And so what that meant is in my classroom, I had it on my desk, and sometimes I carried it to every class, but I had a little jar, and in that jar I had, I don't know if you have them here, but tongue suppressors, like they're made out of wood, and doctors use them, and so they would have a name, right, and colors, and they would have the student's name, and so the student could come up at any time during my class. They could come and pick up one of the sticks with their name, and they could put it right next to me. And what that told me, and I would share this with them before, like at the beginning of the year, what that told me was, hey, I need to chat with you. So if it was red, it was like something very important. So if there was time, we would go outside and talk, or I would find that student like as fast as I could during the day, because I knew I needed to talk to that student that day. If their color was green, then it meant that they needed help, but maybe not so urgently. And if it was blue, then they had something good to share with me. So they could pick it out and they could give it to me whenever they needed. In another class, we had notebooks and we had diaries. And so they had to write something they were grateful for, something they were struggling with, for, I believe it was like only 3 minutes on Mondays, like the first day of the week. And then I said, okay, so on my desk, there is a green paper and there's a red paper. If you put your notebook on the red paper, then I will not read your notebook. It's private. I won't read it and I will respect that. But if it's on the green paper, then I will take it with me and I will read it. So those are just little strategies that you can think of. These are ways, mostly, again, to connect with your students. That's what they need. If I could say the students needed one thing in this life, it's connection. And so any of these strategies, what they need to do or to have as the core element to become relevant is connection. Is that strategy? And you can go online and find many strategies. You go online as a teacher and find it, but will that strategy help me connect with the student? When I'm high-fiving the student, am I looking at them in the eye? Am I looking at their face? Am I looking at their non-verbal communication, at their body language? And what is it telling me? Are they energetic today? Are they sad today? Are they feeling depressed? Are they anxious? What is it that they're doing, right? What is it that they're telling me with their body language? If I have other strategies like the notebook, then again, I'm going to respect, I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to teach the values that I'm talking about in class. We need to follow through with them every single day.
But there are situations that no matter how good or creative or engaged are you as a teacher, that you cannot connect with some students, and more of that, like those students can create problems. How can we deal with this kind of students that create problems?
Absolutely. I think that's always the way that teachers see it and express it, even parents sometimes, or the schools. So first and foremost, I think we have to really remember that students are people, and at the core, right? So if you think of a tree, we see the tree, we see the trunk, we see the leaves, but there's roots under the soil. And any student that has any behavior, whether it's excitement, whether it's anger, whether it's boredom, whatever they're having, whatever attitude and behavior they're having, those are like the behaviors, like the leaves of the tree. But there is a cause. What is the cause? Could it be family problems? Could it be that they have no friends? Could it be a bullying issue? Could it be an abuse issue from a peer or someone else? And then we also need to know and remember that there are roots to that problem that's lying underneath that we cannot see. And I think when we see that, when we focus on the root of the behavior of the problem and not the behavior up top, then we will find solutions. And I think that's exactly another thing that we need to do is changing our language and how we refer to students. So they are not a problem student. They are a student that has a problem. And maybe I need to figure out what that problem is, or what that root of the problem is, or maybe I need help from a psychologist, from a therapist, from the parents, from the principal of the school. Maybe I need help from another teacher to help me find the root of the problem. But I think that is the key phrase. The student is not the problem. They are a student, a person that has a problem, and we can help with that. And the thing is, the core, the very base of the need, when there's a behavior, bad or good, especially bad behavior or anger or whatever that behavior is, there's always a need for human connection. Always, always, always. And so when we look at it that way, we as teachers start to change our perspective. I no longer see the student as the problem. I no longer am angry at the student, but I know that they have a problem. So it becomes my mission to find out what that is and to help the student. My mission is not to solve the problem. So I want to be clear with that. It's not, I can't solve the problem necessarily, but I can help find solutions. And to me, that's the key from an educational perspective and also from a psychological perspective.
Well, Becky, that was a very interesting discussion, and I'm very thankful that you accepted my invitation to come here. We have only one more minute from my TV show, so in one sentence, say something to the teachers or the parents that they should remember.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I think this has been such an honor, something I did not expect to do at all in Romania, but it's been very interesting, and you're doing such a great job as a teacher as well. So I know that your students enjoy being with you. And I think to the parents and to the teachers, I would say, I encourage you. You guys are doing such a great job. We live in a world where there is so many difficulties. There are so many challenges for teachers and for our students. But I think I would leave you with this. You're doing a great job. You're doing the best that you can, and students will respond to that. Figure out your motivation, number one. Number two, figure out how you can connect with your students. That is going to absolutely change everything. And number three is look at your students as important human beings. They are not the problem, but their behavior is telling you that they have a problem. And so you can help. You're not there to carry the burden of a solution, but you are there to just walk them through some possibilities. And that is going to change their life forever. And so with that, you are doing this amazing, amazing job. You are forming people and adults for the future. That's not an easy task, but you are definitely doing the best that you can. So keep at it. Keep going.
Well, I have to say it again. You are amazing. Thank you again for being here. And enjoy Romania as much as you can. And I hope you had a good time here.
Yes.
Vă mulțumim și dumneavoastră pentru că ne-ați urmărit. Sperăm că v-a plăcut această emisiune și invitata noastră de astăzi. Nu uitați, ne puteți urmări și în fiecare miercuri și vineri pe Columna TV de la ora 18, precum și pe Facebook și pe YouTube, Florentin Profu De Română, unde postăm aceste emisiuni și le puteți distribui, puteți comenta, puteți lăsa feedback. Pe curând!